Good morning, students. Today we will discuss about social exclusion. Exclusion means what? What is the meaning of exclusion and what is the meaning of inclusion? Here, social exclusion is the process in which individuals are blocked from or denied full access to various rights, opportunities, and resources that are normally available to members of a different group and which are fundamental to social integration and observance of a human rights within that particular group. Okay, social exclusion is a form of a discrimination. It occurs when people are wholly or partially excluded from participating in the economic, social, and political life of their community, that based on their belonging to a certain social class or a category or a group, etc. In India, social exclusion occurs on the basis of identities including caste, ethnicity, religion, gender, and disability, the disability of people. There are three features of social exclusion. ಮೂರು ಬಗೆಯ ಫೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಲಕ್ಷಣಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ನೋಡಬಹುದು ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಕ್ಲೂಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. Social exclusion as a concept has three distinguishable features. First one, it involves culturally defined social categories with associated cultural perceptions, values, and norms that shape social interaction. Okay, it is embedded in social relations. It affects people's rights and entitlements, denying them the opportunities they need to attain and maintain a universally acceptable standard of a living and to fulfill their potential. Here, social exclusion and poverty. Social exclusion as an undeniable impact on the poverty status of socially excluded communities. Those who belong to socially excluded groups are not affected by a lack of resources just like the rest of the poor. They face particular discrimination in gaining access to these resources. For example, there may be a clean water pump in a village, but those who are socially excluded may not be allowed access to it. This is a social exclusion. Because social exclusion locks people out of the benefits of a development, denying them opportunities, choices, and a voice to claim their rights. It causes greater levels of poverty. Then the degrees of social exclusion. Here, social exclusion occurs to different degrees. It can mean the complete denial of access to social services, such as the refusal of being treated at a hospital. Alternatively, it can take the form of selective inclusion, where socially excluded groups receive differential treatment, such as being required to pay different prices for goods and services, etc. Sometimes exclusion is a deliberate and explicit. For example, when people from a certain social background are denied access to particular facility. Sometimes it can be implicit and unintentional and is simply a result of people adhering to ingrained norms and values and established forms of a social interaction. Okay. And next, the causes and forms of a social exclusion. Here, exclusionary process can have various dimensions. For example, political exclusion can include the denial of citizenship rights such as political participation and the right to organize, and also of a personal security, the rule of law, freedom of expression and equality of opportunity, etc. Bhalla and Lapierre argue that political exclusion also involves ಏನನ್ನು ಒಳಗೊಂಡಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ the notion that state which grants basic rights and civil liberties, ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಹಕ್ಕು ಮತ್ತು ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯವನ್ನ ಏನು ಕೆಲವು ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಕೊಡದೇ ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು, cut off from the society. Okay, is not neutral agency but a vehicle of society's dominant classes and may thus discriminate between a social groups. Okay. Next, economic exclusion. This is a political exclusion. ರಾಜಕೀಯವಾಗಿ ಅವರನ್ನ ಬೇರೆ ಇಡುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸಿಟಿಸನ್ಶಿಪ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕೊಡದೇ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಅವರಿಗೆ ಲೀಡರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕೊಡದೇ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು. Second one, social exclusion. It includes lack of access to labor markets, credits, and other forms of a capital assets, right? And third one, social exclusion may take the form of discrimination along a number of dimensions, including a gender, ethnicity, and age, which reduce the opportunity for such groups to gain access to social services and limits their participation in the labor market, etc. Okay. Next one, cultural exclusion refers to the extent to which diverse values, norms, and ways of living are accepted and are respected. Economic exclusion, political exclusion, social exclusion, and cultural exclusion. These are the four types of exclusion. ಹೊರಗಿಡುವಿಕೆ, ರಾಜಕೀಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾಯಕತ್ವ ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ರಜಾಪ್ರಭುತ್ವ ಅಥವಾ ಪೌರತ್ವವನ್ನು ಕೊಡುವುದಕ್ಕೆ ಜನಗಳನ್ನ ಹಿಂದೆ ಸರಿಸುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಆರ್ಥಿಕವಾಗಿ ಅವರು ಯಾವುದೇ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಂತ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್, ಲೇಬರ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಹೊಂದದಾಗಿ, ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೈ ಲೆವೆಲ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗದಾಗಿ ಅವರನ್ನು ತಡೆ ಹಿಡಿಯುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸೋಷಿಯಲಿ, ಜೆಂಡರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರಿಮಿನೇಷನ್, ಜಾತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಟ್ಟಿನ ಆಧಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಮನುಷ್ಯನನ್ನ ದೂರ ಇಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. And cultural exclusion refers to the extent to which diverse values, norms, and ways of living are accepted and respected. A term that emphasizes the structural facets of a poverty and social marginality. Exclusion refers to the systematic process being kept out of touch with the decision makers and a sense of powerlessness that ensures. The concept was developed in Europe during the 1980s and offer a broader multi-dimensional perspective on a social disadvantage than the purely economic element of a poverty. Here, exclusion can be social, political, cultural, or emotional. These frequently interact. Racial minorities are commonly economically disadvantaged as well as being politically and culturally marginalized, which of course serve to maintain their economic disadvantage. Okay, and perhaps social exclusion may affect health through the sense of disrespect, degradation of people, devaluation, disparagement, and a stigma that excluded people feel. The reaction to exclusion may vary according to its basis. Economic exclusion may lead to a call for redistribution of wealth. If the exclusion is one of the identity, there may be demands for a recognition and respect. Protesters in the Arab Spring of 2012, for example, do not seek a democratic government so much as simply to be respected by police and their leaders. So social exclusion refers a way to explain endurance of a social and health inequalities. It recognizes that not all disadvantage can be reduced to economic terms. The term emphasizes the structural facets of a poverty or a social marginality. It reality of a being out of a touch with the decision makers and the resulting powerlessness. Exclusion indicates the segmentation of a society in which hierarchies are closed to outsiders. Not only is a person poor, but they may be systematically denied access to the means of overcome their poverty. The old boys club is not open to them. Okay, those who are excluded typically lack the capacity for a collective action to overcome their exclusion. Okay, and perhaps social exclusion may affect health through the sense of disrespect, degradation, devaluation, disagreement, etc., etc. So this is what this is a social exclusion. ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಹೊರಗುಳಿಸುವಿಕೆ ಅಥವಾ ಕೆಲವು ನಿರ್ದಿಷ್ಟ ಜಾತಿಯ ಕೀಳು ಜನರನ್ನ ಅಥವಾ ಪುವರ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಅನ್ನ ಸಮಾಜ ನಾಗರಿಕತೆಯ ಮಟ್ಟದಿಂದ ಅವರನ್ನು ಹೊರಗಿಡುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಅವರಿಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಸೌಲಭ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಕೊಡದೆ, ಅವರಿಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ರಾಜಕೀಯ, ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ, ಆರ್ಥಿಕ, ಸಾಂಸ್ಕೃತಿಕ ಅವಕಾಶಗಳನ್ನ ಕೊಡದೆ ಅವಕಾಶಗಳಿಂದ ವಂಚಿತರನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. Okay. So this is today's explanation about a social exclusion. We will end the meeting today.